Hi, Yusofians. This is the 37th Blockhead Rally. I'm Hong and I'll be your moderator for today. The sequence of today's events is as follows. Firstly, we'll be introducing our candidates, and then this will be followed by a Q&A segment as well. First, let me introduce our only candidate for the A block head. We have Ashley Lin. Her proposal will be Jaya, and Ashley is currently in year 2. She's currently studying chemical engineering, and these are her commitments since year 1. Can we now invite Jaya to give his speech, please? Jaya, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Jaya. I would like to propose Ashley for the next A blockhead position because I have personally worked with her in A block for the past 2 years, and I feel that her passion and interest in the block is really prevalent. And usually for blockcom, I think not many freshies will go on to join in year 2 to contribute back to the block again one more time. But Ashley has been very active and has helped me out a lot this year in terms of planning events and keeping the block as a very welcoming and fun place. So I think with that being said, Ashley is a very uh, talented and accomplished individual who I feel that has enough leadership capabilities to go on to be the next A blockhead. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Jaya. Now let's invite Ashley to give a speech. Ashley, please. Oh, Ashley, sorry, I think you're muted.
Sorry. Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Ashley and I've been staying in A Block since year 1. I've also been a part of A Block Com for the 2 years I've been in Yusof, and I know many of y'all have like a perception of ABC as a super tiring com, but because of how many events we have. But for as long as I've been part of ABC, I've also loved being a part of it. Obviously, it's not been the easiest com, but being able to plan events for the A blockers and seeing them have fun during the events have been some of the most rewarding moments for me in Yusof. As a blockhead and being in charge of A blockcom, I hope to be able to pass down this enthusiasm and mindset to the next blockcom, where holding events for the block is not a chore, but instead something to look forward to and an opportunity to give back to the block and make it a better one. Aside from just holding events, I'll also try my best to ensure that everyone's concerns are heard. Starting with the most common one, which is the state of the pantry and the lounge. The first thing I will do is to get new chairs and sofas for the lounge and make it at least usable for people to study or just hang around in the lounge. And this is just one of the many things I have in store for A Block for the upcoming AY. A Block to me is not just a place for me to stay in, it is really a home. I have been lucky enough to meet my closest friends and make my fondest memories here, and I really hope to be able to make this the case for everyone staying in A Block, whether it be the incoming freshies or the seniors. I remember when I was a freshie, the seniors were also super welcoming and putting so much effort to make the block a bonded one. If I were to be blockhead, I hope to be able to continue this tradition that made me fall in love with A Block in the first place. My vision for A Block is to be a welcoming, tight-knit block, but more importantly, a block that knows how to have fun together. As a blockhead, I promise I will always put in my 101% because A Block has never disappointed me, and I will try my hardest to not disappoint A Block as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Now let's go on to our candidate for B blockhead. We have Kavi. He's currently in year 1 and studying real estate. These are his commitments since year 1. Now let us invite his proposer to give his speech. Jin, please.
Hi guys, I'm Jin. I'm the proposer for Kavi. So when I first talked to Kavi about his plans to become blockhead, right, I could tell he was very motivated to improve the mentality that the residents had. And I feel like he really has the drive to create a united block that has a robust connection between freshies and seniors. The way he talks with his blockmates and encourages them to attend block events is a testament to the strong connection he has to B Block and the lengths that he's willing to go for his residents. And he strives for a fun and eventful block where people feel happy being in and where events are highly anticipated for. But that's not all. He strongly believes that part of what makes Yusof great is the guidance that seniors can provide juniors with. Furthermore, I think it's important to acknowledge that Kavi understands what B blockers enjoy or don't enjoy. He understands the current senior freshie divide and aims to eliminate it through organizing exciting events that involve intra-block mingling. Kavi is really friendly and easy to talk to, and this makes him a great communicator when it comes to conversing and empathizing with different personalities of B blockers. He's always open to talking to new people, and he has never failed to exist as a cheerful spirit around B block. Most importantly, I know that he's a very hard worker and he will prioritize B block commitments despite a myriad of other events. No matter how busy his real estate schedule gets, he will always take the extra step to ensure he gets the job done. He's for sure one of the most responsible members of B Block.com. Lastly, I think Kavi really has the heart and the personality for the role. He truly believes that B Block is the best block, and he is proud to be one. He consistently proves this, and I hope you guys can see his determination to make B Blockers proud of who they are. And lastly, I hope you guys can give him the support to make his vision come true. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jun. Now let's invite Kavi to give his speech. Kavi, please.
Hi everyone. So, B block, best block is a phrase I firmly believe in. We have the best location, the best people, and the best vibes. So no matter who asks me, I'll always say that I'm proud to be from B block. B block is a place full of fond memories to me. From being a freshie and having great memories during E-Hop, to eventually joining Blockcom and helping to plan events, I'm extremely appreciative of the people in my block and my blockhead, as they have really created a happy, united environment where I feel like I belong in. It's this sense of culture and belonging in B block that drives me to serve. Hence, I decided to run for Blockhead as I want to continue to make B block an amazing place for everyone to live in. Which brings me to my vision for B block. So I have three main areas that my vision encompasses. Firstly, unity. I want to create a united block that has a strong bond between seniors and freshies. I believe that part of what makes USO so great is the guiding figure that seniors provide. And I always want my residents to feel a sense of belonging and pride in B block. Hence, by bridging this senior freshie divide and creating a united block, I hope that everyone finds a place of belonging in B block. Secondly, fun. Coming into B block, I always had a lot of fun, and at every event, I really enjoyed myself. So keeping this tradition going forward, I really want B block to be a fun and eventful block where people feel happy being in and look forward to events. I think although at times, hall events may not be everyone's cup of tea, I want B block events to reach out to as many of its residents as possible and create as many opportunities for intra-block bonding as possible, because I believe that this is the only way in which we can rejuvenate USO's culture. Lastly, care. I want B block to be a safe and sanitary space for its residents that they can be happy to call home. This starts with simple things like welfare and reporting damages. But my vision for B block is not only do they have this aspect, they also feel cared for by other members of the block as well, and have friends that they can always reach out to, as I have had in my time in B block. So how exactly do I intend to achieve this? I think that unity, fun, and care can be achieved through one key area: understanding. I think by building a culture of understanding and communication, we'll be able to create the vision of B block that I wish. I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned this sem has been understanding people's needs and wants are very important. Because you can't have an event and you cannot plan things if you don't understand what the people want. So although we cannot accommodate for everyone, I want to try and understand them as much as possible to ensure that they have a fun time in hall and have an enjoyable experience living in B block. I aim to do this by planning events and leading a blockcom motivated to bridge the gaps between people and have events that incorporate more games and activities that people are interested in. I hope that these activities will also allow for better intra-block bonding so people feel a sense of belonging and commitment to B block as well. B block, I'm asking y'all to vote for me because I'm truly very passionate about this block. I love the people in this block and I love this place, and it has a strong place in my heart as well. I hope that y'all can vote for me and support me when we go into the next AY. And even though whatever mistakes I may make, I hope that y'all will be able to move past it and be able to support me in my time if I become B block. Thank you.
Thanks, Kavi. Now let's go on to our candidate for C block. For C Block, we have Jody. She's currently in year 1 and studying business administration. These are her commitments since year 1. Now let's invite her proposer, Ashley, to give a speech. Ashley, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashley, Jody's proposal. I'm sure that everyone in C Block knows Jody as the tiny, pig-head bubbly soul that greets everyone with the widest smile and with boundless amounts of energy. Her energy and laughter is so contagious that it makes everyone else laugh along with her. And I would say that being approachable is one of the most important qualities of a blockhead. And this energy is something that the incoming freshies would definitely appreciate. Jody and I work together in C Block.com, and one word that I would use to describe her is selfless. For instance, there was once where we had to make sushi for a blog event, and because the pantry kitchen was inadequate, she offered to host us at her house so that we could produce quality food to serve the blog. Additionally, Jody always goes the extra mile for anything that she does. One example is that when we had an Angel Immortal event, and all of us wanted to keep things simple and just send out a sheet revealing who the blog residents' angels were, Jody made individually customized cards for each blog resident who participated, with clues on who their angel could be, and she cut and pasted everything by hand. And this made me respect her work ethic even more than I previously did. All I can say that is Jody is capable of commanding others' respect and admiration, and I'm sure that even those who are not from C Block will come to respect her leadership style and work ethic after working together with her in HMC in the future. And I hope that everyone will give her their vote to be the next blockhead, as I'm sure that she'll put her best foot forward to serve us as her blockhead, just like she does for everything else that she's involved in. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Now let's invite Jody to give a speech. Jody, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Jody and I'm running for C Blockhead. I would like to run for C Blockhead because I believe that having a positive hall experience starts with your own block. Having people that you can eat, study, yet go to class or CCAs with while living side by side in a clean environment makes me, and I hope you too, feel safe and happy in the simplest of terms. I'm passionate in holding events and other block initiatives that not only brings us together as a community, but also focuses on the block maintenance for us as residents. I believe C Block has been very fortunate this year to have energetic freshies and welcoming seniors in creating this welcoming and friendly environment. But I also believe block events also have a part to play in this too. As part of the Blockcom, I've seen how impactful and effective block events are in bringing people who haven't interacted before together. Being able to play a part in creating a happy event and also being a part of it gives me a sense of accomplishment and gratefulness for being in this block. And this is something that I wish to continue for the next batch of C Blockers. Thank you.
Thanks, Jody. Now let's go on to our candidate for D Block. For D Block, we have Swaran. He's currently in year 1 and he's studying in CNM and theatre studies. These are his commitments since year 1. Now let's invite Joel to give his speech. Joel, please.
Hi everybody. So I'm Joel, proposing for Soren on behalf of D Block, recycling champions 2 years in a row. So for Soren, I think there are 3 main reasons why I'm proposing for him. I think the first one being his massive involvement in Hall and the many different CCAs. I think, as you already know, he's very, very involved in Hall, and a lot of people do know him and do love him. I think being just merely involved is one thing, but that in itself is an opportunity and platform for him to be able to empathize and relate to the fellow blockmates that he has. I think 2, beyond just involvement, he is also very dedicated. In year 1, I think while we were looking for EW video head, he was more than ready to avail his help to EW. I think beyond that itself, beyond his massive involvement, he still managed to push through all of them and decidedly perform well in all of them, given the success of maybe even EHBB, even his own DP item. I think lastly, beyond just involvement and dedication, I think Sauron is someone that serves with the heart. And I think his heart is with the people. He definitely wants to love the people around him. And without a doubt, he will make a very good blockhead should he become one. So yeah, those are my 3 reasons. And yeah, that's about it. D Block plus Block.
Thanks, Joel. Now let's invite Soren to give his speech. Soren, please.
Oh, hi guys. So I'm Swaran and I'm running for D Blockhead. So to start off my speech, I would just like to explain what D Block means to me. So D Block was honestly just more than just a place. It was like my second home. And like I think a lot of people in D Block knew that I would even spend my weekends here. And it was really a place where I did find the time to unwind and find peace amidst the chaos that was going on my outside life. But the thing about D Block was the people made this possible. Like I could always just gather with my friends, share laughter, and sometimes lean on them for support. Like I'll be able to just walk into my neighbor's room and really just talk to them when I needed to. It was also a place where seniors offered guidance and advice, helping me get through the tough experiences I had in hall and in school. D Block was a place where I could just celebrate my highs with my friends and really, at the same time, find comfort in my lows. In D Block, I didn't have a room to stay, but I had a community that became my #YYusuf. And I'm sure it will continue to be that place for me for as long as I stay here. And because of the amount D Block gave back to me, I decided to run for Blockhead to give back. Secondly, I'll talk about my vision. My vision for D Block is to create a block where people can find an avenue to de-stress. It's a place where they can just unwind, whether through organized block events or simple moments of spending time together in the lounge or even in a deep floor open space. I envision D Block as like a vibrant community, where be it sports, culture, or community events, we will be the first people giving our support. And even in failures of our members, we will always be there cheering you on and offering encouragement. D Block will not just be a physical space, but a community of people with high spirits, making efforts to always be there for one another. And that is really what I see D Block become. However, to achieve this, there are some stuff that I would like to change about D Block. One thing is, I would like to reduce the divisions between levels. I want D Blockers to know that I will do everything I can to make everybody feel comfortable spending time and talking to people between each levels. One way this can be done is, of course, through organized block events. However, like I said just now, another way I would like to envision this change coming is by giving the opportunity to interact with one another. One thing I want to suggest was bi-weekly movie nights in the lounge or bi-weekly events in the lounge where people who, if they are free, they can just come and spend time with their friends. Another thing is, of course, but like I said, making a default open space available to the whole block. If you really just want to de-stress, you want to chill, you want to just come back to D Block and relax, I really want to provide the avenue for you. To my D Blockers, I would really like to call for your support in me running for D Block. A few weeks ago, I was a bit hesitant on running for D Block due to my failures that I did face in the EHBB event. But then I spoke to seniors, I spoke to previous blockheads, and I did talk to them and raise some concerns. At the end of the day, I went back and I thought to myself, what was the main reason I wanted to run for Blockhead in Sem 1? And I found a root reason. As long as I can make one D Block member feel that D Block is a safe space for them, I can make one D Block member feel what I felt for D Block this year, I will be the happiest Blockhead. And that is what I'm doing for the rest of D Block. Yeah, so I would also like to say that if I do fumble, if I do fail, I would like to apologize in advance because let's just be honest, it's bound to come. But I just want you to trust and I want you to know that I will pick myself up and I will do everything I possibly can to make D Block the best environment for my D Blockers. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Soren. Now, finally, let's go on to our last candidate. For E Block, we have Ting Hui. He's currently in year 1 and he's studying computer engineering. These are his commitments since year 1. Now let's invite Brendan to give his speech. Brendan, please.
Yeah. Hi, guys. So, Ting Hui has been a very close friend of mine since the start of hall, especially since we live very near each other. But even without the convenience of proximity, he has always proven himself to be a reliable and strong character that never shies away from doing what is right and fair for the block. And actually, one of my first few impressions of Ting Hui was that he was a quiet, slightly more reserved, but nevertheless an entertaining and fun person to talk to. He will always be available for academic help and be enthusiastic in block events, both informal and formal events. Even though he was not involved in BlockCom in semester 1, his actions and efforts were definitely felt in the block throughout the academic year, befitting of an individual that truly cares for the well-being of the E-Block residents. I personally believe that there currently stands no other candidate that can support and build the E-Block culture for the next academic year better than Ting Hui. And his courage and decision to run for E-Blockhead is but a starting step for the betterment of our block. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan. Now let's invite Ting Hui to give his speech.
It's in now. Hi guys, I'm Ting Hui and I'm running for eBlockhead. So I would just like to say that the first thing is eBlock has really molded my whole experience per se. It has provided me with a lot of fond memories, talking with friends, being at block events, and in general, just being a very fulfilling experience living here. And I feel that the Blockcom especially for this year, like this year has really pulled the block together. And seeing their actions from Sem 1 made me want to join in Sem 2 and subsequently run for Blockhead. And I certainly hope to strive to improve what the Blockcom has done this year. And I would say for myself, I want to create a very comfortable living environment for everyone. I believe that everyone has their own reasons for staying in hall. Some may not be as involved, some may be super involved, want a lot of fun. And I believe that all of this strives from being understanding of each other, and that we can be supportive of each other in our activities as such. And I just want to create such an environment for everyone. Yeah, so basically that's why I really want to run for eBlockhead. I just want to maintain this experience that I had and also create a better culture for everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ting Hui. Now we will have a 5 minutes intermission and we'll be back for Q&A session at 7:58. In the meantime, you can scan the QR code on the screen, or you can log into menti.com and key in the code as you see on the screen itself. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes at 7:58. Thank you. Hi guys. Sorry, hi guys. Now welcome back to the Blockhead Rally. We'll now be starting the Q&A segment. I'll first open the floor to the current members inside the Zoom room here, and then afterwards we'll go into the Mentimeter to read the questions. So if anyone has any questions here, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. Let me read one question from the Q&A first. There is a question for Kavi. Thoughts on B block binals events? Kavi, please.
Hi. So firstly, to answer this question, I think B Block Binance event was firstly my event, and I think it was an event that I didn't perform very well for. I think in previous block events, I knew what needed to be done, and I knew exactly like what were my roles and responsibilities, and I have done it before. But I think going into B Block Binance Party, I think some of the things that I did, I wasn't very accountable for, I would say. And I think it really made me have to take a step back and reflect about what exactly went on during the event. Because I think there were several things. I didn't take a lot of accountability and ownership of the entire thing. And I let a lot of the work go back to Nako. And I think that was something that I had to reflect strongly about and think to myself why I did it. So overall, what the event was it was an event where this will be welfare as well as some games. I think one of my biggest misunderstandings was I didn't consider what the people would like. Because to me, as someone who's very comfortable in B Block, to me, some of the things that we did are more for people that will be extremely comfortable already, not really taking into account those who may not be as feel as belonging and maybe as close to the people around them. So I think one of the biggest things that I could learn from this firstly is about how to be more accountable firstly, and also how to ensure that I have more transparency in my leadership so that especially that I can create trust, promote more promote better events and have better success in whatever I do. So yeah, I think that's my thoughts on the B Block Binance Party. Thank you.
Thanks, Kavi. The Q&A is still open to the floor here if anyone wants to ask any questions. Okay, if there are no further questions, I'll be reading the questions of the Mentimeter. The first question is for Jody. What is one thing you did good in BlockCom?
Hello. I think something I did well in BlockCom was the planning of our picnic event and our Angel Immortal / SSM revelation. I think me and Ryan planned it well in the sense that the food and games were catered to the majority, and also the timeline of the games and activities was well organized. I think having the sparklers was a fun thing, and it was also nice hearing positive feedback from other blocks who could see us from the Golden Gate.
Okay, thanks, Jody. Now on to the next question. Kavi and Swaran, as people of color, how could you serve to dilute the issue of casual racism in Yusof?
I think if Kavi doesn't mind, maybe I can like start first. Yeah. Okay, so like one way we can dilute the issue of casual racism is I think firstly, if we do hear it, and it's not only as people of color, I think it's everyone in general. If you do hear casual racism being said as like even as a joke form, or like if they actually mean it, we should stand up. We should not be afraid to go against like what in that situation the majority are finding funny and the majority are laughing at. We especially should be the people to stand up and say, you know what you're doing, what you said is wrong. And if they do not understand why is wrong, just explain to them. Do not hold any grudges or like do not hold any hatred or anger against what they said. Just tell them, like, you know, by you saying this, it hurts certain group of people in this way. And maybe from that, we can have a conversation and they can understand better. And the more people we stand up to, or the more this idea of racism will not be accepted, get spread around. I think that's the way we can dilute the entire issue of casual racism in Yusof.
I think Swaran has given a very good answer. And personally, like what he says, like although I've never been on the receiving end of casual racism in Yusof, I think one of the things that I've learned in my past experiences is one of the most important things for tackling casual racism is that you have to speak up and lead by example. So I think speaking up is very important, like what Soran said, because if you witness like casual racism or hear racist remarks, it's on all of us to not stay silent. So by speaking up and addressing the behavior in a calm, respectful manner, I think we'll be able to use this opportunity to educate others that maybe think of it as just a joke, so that why their words maybe are hurtful or unacceptable. And I hope by creating these safe spaces where individuals feel comfortable discussing issues related to race and racism, we'll be able to provide support towards them and be able to dilute this issue of casual racism in Yusof. And secondly, it's like what I said, leading by example. I think it starts with people like us who have a lot of like sway and hold in hall that need to be the ones to be accountable for our actions and make sure that we do not accidentally or whatever foster casual racism.
Thanks, Kavi and Swaran. Now on to the next question. For Kavi, what will you do to ensure transparency and accountability in your role as a blockhead?
So I think like going back to what I said earlier, ensuring transparency and accountability is really quite crucial for being a blockhead. Because if you're transparent about your actions and accountable for what you do, then you always find reasons to pin the blame on someone else or to blame something else. But I think it's important to know that even when you make a mistake, it's important that you take ownership of it. Because when you take ownership of it, no one can hold it against you because you've already admitted that it's your mistake, and all you can do is grow and learn from there. So I think there are three things which I think are very important for me in ensuring transparency and accountability. So the first would be to establish clear expectations. So I think transparency starts by establishing clear expectations. So what you expect from your blockcom what you expect from the people, and what you expect of yourself. And I think setting key goals at the start of the SEM and throughout the course, reviewing them is important in ensuring transparency and accountability. And I think the second one would be to hold regular AARs. I think one of the mistakes that I made in the last event of BLOCK was I didn't hold an AAR post-event. And although it's like commonplace, I think that's something I really forgot. And I think it's important to be accountable. And by having stuff like AAR, it keeps you accountable as a leader because it means you need to know where you need to work on and how you want to grow as a person and how you want to grow your blog as well. I think that's the second way that we can ensure transparency and accountability. And finally, I think it's important to lead by example. I think in the past, there have been instances where maybe I wasn't the most outstanding individual. And I think it's important that my actions will set the tone for the entire blog. And by modeling transparency and accountability in my own behavior, I hope that it can perpetuate this culture within BlockCom itself and within the people of the blog, so that we can openly communicate with one another, admit mistakes, and take responsibility for our actions. So these are the ways I believe that ensuring transparency and accountability will go about. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thanks, Kavi. Now on to the next question. For Kavi as well, what kind of activities would you plan to bridge the gap between seniors and freshies?
Thank you for this question. I think one of the most important events in B-Block that really shaped why I want to be B-Block head was BBB. And I think BBB is the perfect example of an activity that bridges the gap between seniors and freshies. So although BBB, maybe not everyone had the perfect opportunity or maybe didn't bond with their BBB in the ways that I did, I think that that kind of activity is exactly what we would be looking for when we want to bridge this gap. Because there are three main areas which BBB did well, which firstly is I feel that it actively promoted like senior freshie bonding. And secondly, it encompassed activities that people want to do. And lastly, it was also something that was easy to do and not too over the top and very difficult for people to take part in given busy schedules. So I think the kind of activities that maybe I would want to do is firstly, I would definitely want to continue this tradition of BBBB. But I think another thing that I could definitely do and taking some inspiration from another blog would definitely be having something similar to the Angel Mortal system. Maybe it doesn't have to be during that time, but maybe the activity that I could see myself organizing and leading would be a Secret Santa activity for the entire blog. And I think going towards Christmas time, maybe that would be a good Christmas activity. So by having this Secret Santa, you'd really be able to like understand, and maybe everybody in the blog, all the seniors and freshies will get like a fact sheet about their Secret Santa, and then they'll be able to learn more about their Secret Santa, watch their actions, and then buy them gifts that hopefully they will like. And I think that is another activity which will help bridge the gap between seniors and freshies. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thanks, Kavi. On to the next question. For Swaran, other than movie screenings, how do you plan to improve the divide within different levels in the blog?
I think one thing that I saw implemented in BlockCom this year, in the BlockCom, was we had the idea of level heads, where for D1, there was a D1 BlockCom member who was the level head in charge of that. For D2, there was a D2 level head, D3 level head, and D4 level head. But one thing I feel that can help improve the divide within the different levels is by enforcing more like interbonding from the level heads itself. So for example, I remember in the SEM 1, D block used to fill up the entire table at the DH during dinner times. But one thing the level heads in my BlockCom can start doing is by, instead of sitting in your levels, like I remember D4 used to sit together, D2 used to sit together, D1 used to sit together, maybe start bringing a few of your friends. Hey, let's sit with the D2 girls. Let's eat with them. Let's get to know them. Let's see the D1 boys, let's see the D3 girls. Or like the girls sit the guys, you know, and this will be implemented by my level heads. Another thing that I did realize that somehow this group understood each other better and became friends was when, as a joke, I started something called the Friday Freshie Friend Group. It was when a few of us who would stay in on Friday nights, because we had commitments on Saturdays, would end up going for supper together. And that gave me and a lot of my D4 guys staying on the level an opportunity to understand our own block freshie girls more. So if we can implement stuff like that, maybe max orders a week, everybody, let's go to the lounge and eat together. Or instead of movie screenings, let's have a game night, Monopoly night, board game nights. And if I can get my level heads to also be the one pushing for this movement, I think it would help improve the divide within different levels in the block.
Thanks, Warren. Now for the next question. This is open to all the Blockhead candidates. During block events, many international students only showed up for the first event or none at all. How are you going to ensure that international students are also continuously involved? Anyone can answer the question once you're ready.
Hello. I guess I'll start first. I think for the international students, I think the integration of them into hall culture is the hardest issue to address. But I think knowing this and knowing that they're still excited to get to know like the local students and attend like their first ever block event. I think since from the first event, it'll be good to like get to know them like from like as a blockhead, as a senior, and also just like between freshies. I think majority of the new international students also may not know much about the CCA culture in hall. So I think being able to talk to them about it and get them to come down also would spark like a new friendship between international students and local students. I think for subsequent like block events, for example, I think what my block did was that sometimes we will knock on the international students' door and like ask if they are like down to come. And it's just like a very chill, but it also like makes them feel, I feel like it makes them feel seen, and like it is nice to get recognized in like this new environment. So yeah. Thank you.
Hi. I think I can answer next. So I think I'm quite lucky in the sense that in B Block, most of the freshie international students that came in were quite participative and they often show up for block events. And I think one of the key things that I learned is that it's important to like be understanding of them because maybe they have different like cultural norms or they have different like dietary needs. So I think it's important that we put our bias and judgment aside and really help and understand these international students. And I think a big part of that is maybe having events that cater a bit more towards their culture as well. So I think one thing that HMC did really well was we had the going international event. And I think to me that was an event that a lot of international students showed up for because I think that was like they wanted to see some part of their culture represented. So I think similarly to what Joey said, it's important to introduce international students to our own culture while also helping them feel like there's a home here by incorporating parts of their culture and aspects of their culture back into our events. So I think that's one of the ways that we can ensure that international students are continuously involved by taking care of their needs and also being very understanding of them.
I think I will go next. I think wait, if you don't mind. Yeah, okay, so to me I feel that there isn't really going to be a way where we 100% ensure that international students are continuously involved. Like honestly, speaking from experience, we cannot even do that with our local students. But one thing I felt that in D Block was different was that our local students were aware of a block event happening, while our international students were not as aware. And a lot of us, like me, including me, did not really take the time out of our day to get to know these international students well. Like I got to know a few international students through DP and through other CCAs. So one thing I feel that we can try to get them involved is for D block members, if they are in a certain CCA with an international student from our block, and we do talk, we do like become acquaintances, we become friends. When there's an event coming up, just tell them, okay, come, let's go together. And that is something I would expect from my entire block next year. Is get these international students, tell them, come, you follow me, I bring you to the event. And if they do have fun, they'll continue coming down. But one thing also we must understand about international students is their priorities of staying in hall might vary from our priorities of staying in hall. Like to me, my priority of staying in hall was like, after studying, I can come and have fun, chill with my friends. But for them, it's a place to stay. They paid a lot of money to come here to study and achieve good grades. So I would understand if they do not want to use that time for events. But on my Blockcom side, I really hope that we will 100% always make that extra mile, that extra effort to still invite them for the events. And the rest is up to them. And for them to enjoy the events, like what Kavi said, maybe you could have events that cater to them as well. For example, I know there's a lot of Chinese Malaysians who do come to Singapore and do not go back during Chinese New Year. Maybe we could have a Chinese New Year event and make them feel included and make them feel like they have a family here in D Block. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll go next. So, I believe that eBlock actually had quite a few international students, and I think one very good example of us including our international students is in Sem 1 we had this exchange student called Kimberly, and I believe that those residents staying in E3 and E4 really put together to include her in all the events and as well as all the activities, and I believe that we can do the same for the rest of the international students, just include them. If we have events, just go to their door, ask them come join. It's a very chill thing. And I believe one step further is, let's say for that day, you are having like, I don't know, like rough days or something like that. You want to invite them for dinner, go eat dinner together, that kind of things. It's just to get to know them and let them know that there are people that are willing to engage with them, that are willing to be friends with them. Yeah, and that's how I believe that we can engage all the international students.
I think like what Sharon said, it's difficult. It's very difficult to incorporate the international students for all the event. Like it's impossible to ask them to come down to like every single event. But I think one thing we can do is to make the first event to go extra step to ensure that the first event is inclusive and like is like powerful enough to help them to get close to their neighbors. And this is what the other blockheads say already, but like I think it really helps to go the extra mile to ask them personally to come down. So I remember when I was year 1, I had an exchange neighbor. So and although she wasn't really like close to any of the people in the block. But then like for one event I like actually knocked on her door and asked her to come, and she actually did agree, and then she came down to the event and she had fun. Like she told me she had fun. So I think it really makes like it's worth it to take the extra mile to come and like personally go and ask them to come to show up to the event, and we can go with them also and like interact with them during the event and stuff.
Thanks, everyone. Now on to the next question. This is also open to all Blockhead candidates. How does each Blockhead plan to deal with conflict amongst each other when planning HMC events? As usual, once you're ready, you can take the floor.
Yeah, I think I'll go first. So for me, like, I think the only HMC event where I was heavily involved in was EHBB that just happened. I was in a planning com with a few other freshies and a few of the blockheads. And during our AAR, we did bring up a lot of stuff that we were not happy with the other com members. And I think one way that tension could have been avoided was if we were more vocal during the planning stage. If there is open communication between us blockheads, if we enter the conversations with a calm head, we understand where the other blockhead is coming from, we give our explanations. And if two of us really cannot come to an agreement, ask the other blockheads for what they feel is the best way to do it. Because maybe our point of view might not always be right. We need a second point of view, we might need a third point of view. And in the end of it, if we do communicate with each other with respect, with understanding, and with the objective in mind that we are not doing this so that our idea is the one that gets chosen. We are doing this so that the HMC event becomes a success for Yusofians in general. If we can come to a common consensus on that objective front, and we come into these conversations with respect, I think we'll be able to deal with conflict among one another as blockheads. Thank you.
I don't mind going next. So I think like going back to what I've been saying, it goes back really to understanding. And I think similarly to what Swaran has said earlier, I think one of the most important things is understanding, because every blockhead has their own ideas. Every blockhead will have their own way of doing things, and we all have our own events for our own blocks that we all want to take part in. But when it really comes to HMC events, which is a Yusof-wide event, I think the most important is getting everyone on the same page. Because when we're all on the same page and we have similar like vision and a similar dream, then I think that this understanding will be able to be reached. And I think personally for me, the way that I plan to deal with conflict is always by talking first. I don't like to assume, and I will definitely be one to go and talk and ask people and talk to them about it, like, why did this happen? How can we do better? How would you like to be supported? And I think by asking questions and by learning from one another is the best way to deal with conflict. And if really there can't be an agreement reached, I think then it's important to maybe give and take a little and see what's the best way and who would be the best person to maybe like make this call. So I think that's the best way that I personally will plan to deal with conflict among other blockheads when planning for HMC events.
Yeah, I'll go next. So I believe that conflict resolution really just stems from us having a common understanding that whatever we say to each other for planning of events is not personal. Is it like if we shoot down someone's idea, it's not an attack to the person. You know, we do not none of us need to take it personally whenever our ideas are not accepted. And I feel that it is for all of us, it's just important that no matter what we choose to settle on is we put our full attention to whatever this idea is. So let's say I give an idea, but it's not accepted, then so be it. I'll just do my best to help to just ensure that whichever idea is chosen, that is so that it succeeds. And yeah, generally, I feel that that's how we should deal with conflict, especially about blockheads.
I think especially when working with one another, I think the main two things to take note of is like respect and compromising. Yeah, because everyone has different working styles and everyone has different ideas. So that's why respect comes into play. You really have to respect each other's ideas and listen to everyone and like take into consideration everyone's ideas, because you cannot just think that your own idea is the best. Yeah, and also compromising, because everyone, like I say, everyone has different working styles. You cannot expect people to just like follow your own working style or like follow your ideas. So yeah, like what Kavi said just now, it's really all about give and take. And I believe that trust everyone are like adults really. We can just simply talk it out. Yeah.
I think for me is as blockheads, I believe that we should be the first people to exercise understanding and adaptability. I think it's important to be role models for our incoming blockcom as well. I think, like Ashley Lian said, I think understanding each other's situation is like the first step to finding a compromise where every party like sacrifices the same amount. Given like the varying blockcom cultures and working style, I think I think this is like the most civil way to go about it. And additionally, it is also important to let the next batch of LockCon freshies to know and learn more about what like previous problems were. For example, like choosing the dates of events. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Now on to the next question. This is for Ashley. Would you agree that A block is snooze and segregated this year? And what is the cause of that? Will you solve this issue? And if yes, how will you go about doing it?
Okay, I definitely agree. Compared to like last year, A block this year is definitely more smooth and divided lah. But I think one of the main cause of this was like the timing of our events. Yeah, so our first supper we held our first supper quite late into the semester, like semester one. So I think by then everyone had formed cliques and everything already. So that's why it was so hard. Like even though we like the blockcom tried very hard to plan events and like remove the segregation, it's still like because everyone was in their groups already. So it was very hard for them to like break out of their cliques and then like would be willing to interact with other people. So I think one of the main things I would do if I were to blockhead is really like make sure the timing of the events like line up with like the just the timing of the events are right. So like for example the first event, the first supper, I'll make sure it's like the first week, like week 0 or week 1 of the semester, so that when everyone is still like fresh into the block, right, they will get a chance to meet one another. And I think this way like it will everyone will have a chance, like it would make it less smooth because everyone will like be more willing to talk to each other also, and then the segregation will also be better.
Thanks, Ashley. On to the next question for Kavi. How will you manage your BlockCom members if they didn't believe a block event would be a success and therefore tell people not to attend?
Thanks for this question. I think firstly, I like to acknowledge this is a pretty difficult question to answer because I think if your own blockcom members who are the ones planning the event don't believe that the block event will be a success, then I think it's very difficult to find ways to like really make the event a success, because if you yourself don't believe it'll be a success, means you aren't putting the effort and putting in the work to make it a success. So I think how I would manage if I found out they were telling people not to attend, I think one of the first things I would do is I would talk to them and I would really go up. I think one of my bigger skills is that I am quite a people person. So I think the first thing I'll do is I'll really go to them and talk to that block member. I'll ask them, did you say it? Because I think there's a lot of times people's words get taken out of context. So first thing I'll ask them is, did you say this? And then I'll ask them why they said it. And then knowing their reason for why they don't think it'll be a success, I think my next question would then be, so how do we make it into a success that people want to attend? So I think that is something that the way I would manage my blockcom. So by firstly talking to them and then gaining their input on how it could be a more successful and better event that people would be willing and want to attend, rather than just telling people not to attend because it's going to be a failure. So yeah, I think that's the way I would manage my blockcom, because it goes with my way of leadership and the way that I lead as a person. Thank you.
Thanks, Kavi. For Ting Hui, can I come back to E block, Nicole? Okay, it's not really a question, so I'll move on. For Ashley, if you're only going to stay for 1 semester, how do you think you can make an impact on bridging the divide between freshies and seniors, since it requires time to build relationships?
Actually, my exchange is in semester to April. So by then, like I will have handed over to the new blockhead. If that answers the question.
Okay, thanks, Ashley. For the next and final question, for Swaran, how would you address the failures you've had in block or hall events?
Hi. Okay, so I think I'll speak about one of the biggest incidents or the biggest failures I sort of had this year was during the EHBB final event, where my planning group did manage to get DJs to come to Yusof to perform, but our turnout was not as expected. So when I did see the turnout and I started hearing that, oh, instead of coming to the FH, people started going to the clubs. I didn't think about the people who didn't show up. I thought about my own personal feelings. I was like, oh, why are they doing this? Why can't they just support me? And I started feeling very angry, very upset. But then when I did speak to Darren Sum, who was the previous D-Blockhead, one thing that he told me was, if in that moment you are the blockhead, you are a leader, the first people that you have to prioritize are your members, are the people you are doing this event for. So one thing that I feel badly that day was I didn't think about, okay, how can I make this event better for the people who did bother to show up? And I think that also can translate towards my block events or future block events as a whole. If the turnout is not as expected, if the event was not liked by people and they didn't want to show up, how can I do what I can do to make sure the people who did show up have the best possible time? So one example he did give was, I remember there was a time where he did book the DH, but then the turnout was very low. So he immediately thought, okay, let's bring the entire event to the D-Block launch. And in the end, those who went enjoyed. Yeah, so that's one thing that I would like to do. I would like to put my people first instead of me. And I think the second thing that I did fail at during the EHBB was communication, which is ironic since I'm a communications major. But what happened was I assumed a lot of stuff that was happening and I did not clarify. I did not talk to people. I did not take the extra mile to make sure that people knew what was happening. So the EHB planning com had to keep on asking me for questions when it had to be the other way. I had to make sure that a clear plan was laid out for them. And that is one thing that I want to do as a blockhead also. For my blockcom, I want to make sure that at events, there is a clear plan for everyone to follow. And yeah, I think those are two very, very big takeaways that I got from like my supposed failures in all events.
Thanks, Warren. With that, that will be the end of the Q&A segment, and we've come to the end of this year's Blockhead Rally. So now, just a reminder to cast your votes as well. The portal will be opened for the next 2 days, so keep an eye out on channel EH for the voting link. And that will be all for today. Thanks, guys.